Welcome, everybody, to Let's Talk Computer Science, a podcast dedicated to talking about the past, present, and future of computer science. This podcast is made possible by our friends at Rex Academy. Be sure to check out their amazing computer science platform, including courses on cybersecurity and, yes, artificial intelligence, which is all in the news these days. Don't have a teacher? Not a problem. Rex is now providing instructors as part of their platform, so be sure to check them out at rex.academy. And today, I'm excited to have on the show a trivia expert and many other things, wearer of many hats, Kristen Magyar, who is a stream teacher. We're going to get into what that is, and a TOSA of instructional technology. She went for the longest title possible, folks, up there in New York. I hope you get paid by the letter, Kristen.
I tell you, there's a lot going on.
So tell me, first of all, stream teacher, what does that mean?
So everybody's heard of STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math. And then you throw in the art and you make it STEAM. But we really needed the R. We really needed the research and to hold our students accountable for how they were looking stuff up. So we were not getting arrested for plagiarism. We were really doing it the right way. So that R was very integral, putting it into our piece of our puzzle. And now we are STREAM students. And they have to do their research before they get their hands dirty and go through the engineering design process. And Everything just leads together that way.
What about a TOSA? That's a teacher on special assignment, but not everybody has. What is that? So tell me a little bit about what that position is, and then kind of what your day-to-day life looks like in terms of supporting staff there. It sounds like you could be doing something different every day, which is always fun.
Every day is different. So I became a teacher on special assignment when the pandemic hit. I stepped away from being the stream teacher for a while to really support our teachers. And how was I going to teach them, from my house to their house? How were we going to teach all of our students, and what were we going to do? So hosting PDs around the clock, text messages at all hours of the day and night, trying to be that communicator for our families. Big relationships matter. Relationships were happening. We still needed to, tie in our families, and what were we going to do? So they said, we're going to do this for another year. When we finally went back to high flex, that was happening. Then we decided, we're going back full time. And hey, I'm getting stream again. Yes, was my yes, I want this. But I can't do everything. I could not do pre-K, kindergarten, first, second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth grade. So we decided to change our program to those integral years of kindergarten, second, fourth, and sixth grade. And I would still be a teacher on special assignment between the two buildings. I'm a shared teacher, so it makes it, pulling you back both ways. But I still had to reach out to my colleagues. I was working in the Penthouse, as we coined it. It was a closet.
Oh, wow. Okay. Here, I'm thinking not palatial views. You're talking a closet with no windows. Nice.
No, this was no windows.
Yeah.
The closet. So I was working in the closet, and then we said, hey, we got to move. What could we do? So I moved into a great first grade classroom in the corner. So I'm kind of set up in the corner, but I go and still do recordings and videos in the hallway or in the closet again. That way, those teachers can receive what they need. I flip-flop both days. I teach kindergarten and second grade in a self-contained class at the one building, and then have TOSA hours in the afternoon. But the afternoon doesn't always work. We know schools, things change all the time. They could be just calling me right into that classroom where I'm teaching the lesson. And my kids are so great that I can just be like, 1 second, you guys do this. I'm going to be on the phone for a second, solving the problem at the other building. And that's how we do it. So. Wow.
Okay. Yeah. That's first of all, I'm glad they gave you a palatial office, so at least that makes up for the amount of. Yeah, I mean, I'm glad you have a sense of humor, because that's a lot. That's a lot to put on your plate. So, and then on top of all of this, we're of course this podcast is about computer science. Integrating that at a kindergarten level, at a second grade level, and then figuring out ways. So let's back up first. What got you started? What was your origin story when it comes to computer science? Like, what got you involved and interested in it?
So that origin story was a note that went to New York State. a great idea from a principal that we were going to run a STEM program for our students. It was going to be an after-school program. And I was like, wait, my name's on this? What's going on? I don't even know this stuff yet. It's okay. Don't worry. Don't worry. We have a close relationship with West Point. We're right there in Highland Falls. So West Point is there and we can, tap into them and get some engineering help. Sure. No problem. We can tap into them to get some computer science help. Okay. Well, sometimes you got to move a little bit faster than the students and a little faster than the government. So I said, I'm going to learn this computer science somehow. What can I do? I started hopping on the Twitter, searching late nights. What can I find out? What's going on? What's the latest and the greatest? How can we integrate it? What is so good with our kids? Really was like robust to everything, open to everything. And I needed to find a way to get it to the littles because they were our foundation. They were getting their computers. We left a computer lab set up to, regular computers eventually and Chromebooks. And we had not MacBooks. We had netbooks.
Oh, netbooks. Netbooks. Those little tiny netbooks with the little tiny. We used to have those too. They're like made out of rubber. Yeah.
Yes, they were so rubber. They were so durable for the littles, though. They were durable when I pushed into that classroom.
Tiny though, tiny little screens.
Tiny. Yeah. It was the perfect size for them.
Oh, it was. Yeah, they could throw them. It wouldn't matter. Yeah.
Don't give them any ideas.
And they did. Yeah.
Yeah. Some of them did throw things. So we had to, what kind of device are we going to use? Now we're switching to Chromebooks. What is something we can use? Oh, we still have some iPads because we need certain things only run on the iPad. Yep. Love you, Apple. But I just open to everything. I was shuffling devices from building to building. Always, we live in the winter, so you can't leave anything in the car. You got to bring it in and out of your house. Charging things around my counter. That's why I got an island at this house because I needed a charging station. My husband's like, there's something wrong about this. It worked. It worked.
I set up about you got your kitchen island for charging. Yes. So my wife wants one, but it's more for kitchen prep. You're saying you got one just to charge your stuff.
Yeah, it was charging, and then it was loading apps and the images.
Having them in a row. Yes, I remember
touch everything. Yes, I did all of that. I did all of that. And I said, what can I do to make this easier? And I had a great director of technology to, with the foundation. And she goes, this is what we're going to do. And so we came up with a plan. And we're going to try to change our computer classes to in the room for a while and see what happens. And maybe the teacher comes in. Okay. Not so sure about the kindergarten teachers coming in. But you know what? It was the best thing we could do. Kindergarten teachers in the room, they see it a different way. Computer science and them was a thing. It was so important because of reading, foundation skills, sequencing of events. It was all the stuff they were doing across the line. Yeah. And then it turned into, the proofreading, towards the second into third grade. So when they were typing things, they were making sure they were doing it correctly. So now this counts. That comma really makes a difference. Right. And they started appreciating everything we were doing. Different administrators in and out, and coding was a priority. We did Hour of Code for, such a long time, and we believed that was the way to go.
Yeah.
We really, bring that dialogue, expose the other people. Our kids can get into things. Right. We know it because they learn those computer skills.
Yeah.
They definitely have learned them. And I'm proud sometimes that they've learned ways to do things. But then I'm kind of like, oh, guys, you're making so much more work. What are you doing? But it's their willingness to want to learn. And I share that with them. I wanted to learn everything I could. I wanted to become an expert at certain things. I wanted to see, was Codable really the best? It was the little fuzzball one. We were on the Codable Roadshow at one time. We had them come and visit us. That was a big deal. We did VidCode. We were, doing the JavaScript. We saw Bitsbox for a time out of Colorado. And, those guys were fantastic. I might have ran up to them at ISTE a few times, I think. But I don't think
I get the feeling. I get the feeling that there's no qualms. That he's like, oh, there's some stuff over there. Let's go check it out and dive in. You seem like
let's check it out.
The energy of let's go. And that's probably why that principal way back when sent the note to New York City, this is the person. This is the person that's going to lead the charge because your energy is infectious. And I think that's a big part of what I've noticed about the programs that are successful is someone like you is there to really kind of light the fire. And now it's just about now. So my next question is, how do you sustain the fire, right? How do you spread it? Because it can't just be you, right? So how are you building capacity with teachers, or is that something you're still working on?
I'm still working on, building that capacity with teachers. I'm trying to give them exposure. Sometimes I kind of persuade them with something I'm doing, a different way of teaching it, for them to kind of listen to as they're still in the classroom before they're leaving,
Yep.
Which is kind of, helpful, and they're kind of open to it. A lot of conversations that happen, resources that I find that just, wow, this would be a better way at reaching all of your kids. Recently, my students have been very active in trying to, multiply themselves quite a few ways. And they think it's great when they get into a certain game and they have 10 of them running around. Well,
What?
it's really, and then they hide their screens so fast. This is a second grade class.
So wait,
And
they're logging into the game several times with
10
several tabs,
times there are 10 of that kid running around. And I'm like,
trying to win the game, huh?
how is this happening?
Yeah.
And I can't figure out which one he's really trying to control. But, it's causing them to have a discussion and work on it outside of school. And their parents are like, thank you for giving them that opportunity. And that is what I want. I want to reach those families and, a positive thing that the kids could be doing and spending their time on, trying to figure out how to beat the game that's really not even a game, but they think it is. It excites me and it excites them. And they're like, can we please play? And I was like, we have some other work we have to do first. But if we get that done, we can do this. And it's really helped as a bribe of sorts, to get them moving.
Right.
Kindergarten, trying to type really now. They're really trying to find those letters on the keyboard. And, that's something that if we get our work done faster, we can play games. So how can we become accountable for what we're doing? And what can we do to, really type the letters that we're trying to do? And when they start making the connection to the snap words or the sight words or whatever you're calling it, and in those basic words, it's so exciting because the classroom teacher's like, did they just read that? I'm like, yes, they did. And it's like, wow, we're making the connection. We went from a paper and pencil society to devices everywhere. Sometimes a little bit too much, as I tried to wean away.
Yeah, balance it. Yeah, for sure.
Try to balance that screen time. But certain devices are not only for consumption. And that's what I've been trying to push. I've been pushing it. I'm like, this is not why I'm here. I'm not here to consume this game. We are going to create something. We are going to speak in a different way that we can encourage our students and our friends to learn something. We are taking that normal, traditional presidential research paper and we're making it into something digital. We are turning those things from the paper and pencil that it would be, or the note cards of the kid just reading, to something digital where they can reach a bigger audience, where we can record that information. And parents, they don't always get to come into the schools, and we'd love to have them, but because of working and, schedules, they can't. But if we can screencast something and then share it with a family, they can now share that with grandma and grandpa in another state. And then that dialogue and that conversation comes up. So many of our kids are teaching, how to use that iPad, swiping and doing all that stuff.
Right.
But they're teaching their elders or and when it starts to come around that now you're having some of the students' kids in your classes, and they're like, wow, you still have that much energy? I'm like, yes, I do. Yes, I still have that energy, but there's still good things that we can be doing. So we really have to push that envelope with our administrators, our faculty, our colleagues, and our students. And I really think that this computer science thing is not going away.
Yeah.
And those jobs are being created every day.
Every day. And so a lot of good points you just went off there. And I want to say, first of all, that idea of balance is still important. And I think sometimes the assumption when we come into classrooms, I say we, because I do similar things while I go into a classroom, and sure, it's a digital lesson, but I like to mix analog with it whenever possible. And then two, the big point I think you made there, which is these tools should be used more. I don't know if it's actually more, but more for creation than they are, I would say. It doesn't have to be all, because there's times when you have to consume some content too. Like you talked
Right.
about research for stream. Sometimes you're reading content, but you're right. I think so too often we think, oh, there's a computer, let's put them on this game for 15 minutes while they learn I won't say the name of a program, but there's a bunch of them out there where you
Yes.
learn math, right? And it's quick, and it is good for some quick repetition, but they can be used for so much more than just that. So I love
and we've
that you're
spent so much money on it too,
Yeah.
like, let's use it the best we can.
It's not just an ebook. It's more than that, right? In a lot of ways. So, wow, we flew through that. Kristen, I could talk to you for hours about computer science. Your energy is great. Tell us a little bit about where can people find out more about you and the great work you're doing.
So I am in the Highland Falls, Fort Montgomery Central School District. We're about an hour north of New York City. I am on Twitter at Mrs. Magyar. I'm on Instagram. I have Magyar's Magical Tech Tips that come out, daily. I think we're up to 314 or something like that. It was just something, random. And I was like, what can I do for teachers? How can I make their life easier?
Short little
clip or a short little snippet, an idea to try to get them going. So I really have said, we got to do this. And Magyar's Magical Tech Tips was built, and we are just, sharing those tips and finding something new. And every time a certain company updates, I'm like, okay, here's what we're going to do.
Change their name
they change something
from Spark to Express or Flipgrid to Flip
Yes. It's still the same product, people. It's just they've gone through identity change. Still people.
I, for one, am glad that you're in the universe and sharing your knowledge from the Penthouse suite there. So we appreciate Kristen for being on the show. Thank you for being a part of the Let's Talk Computer Science. Thanks again to all of our friends at Rex Academy for making this podcast possible. Be sure to check out their platform at rex.academy. We all know technology will be a part of our future, and as educators and leaders, it's our role to make sure that all of our students have an opportunity in that future as well. This is Carl Hooker, signing off.